Right. So, all right. Now that we've done our analysis, our comp analysis, let's focus on how much money are we going to make. All right. So we go to the deal analyzer and we open it up. This one you can open up in Google Sheets. All right. So this kind of has some older information on a different property, but um, it kind of gives you an idea. So what I did was um, created some fields, and this is for when after a property has been rehabbed, or you can also use this for wholesaling purposes. This here is if the seller pays closing costs, what the net profit would be. If the buyer pays closing costs, what the net profit would be if the buyer pays, and then if you split it 50-50. Now, all these numbers are based upon some typical closing cost fees, and this is also based on a worst case scenario. Now, another thing I've done is you only need to input what is in gray, okay? Don't touch anything else. Only touch what is in gray. So, let's make it for 2855 Katy Way. 2855 Katy Way, Winter Park, 32792. Whoops, that's the wrong field. So, leverage real estate. 2855 Katy Way, Winter Park, Florida, 32792. It was in Orange County. This is only when you have an actual contract, but today's August 6th, so I don't know when the closing date is, but let's just assume it is, let's just say worst case 11/1/2015. When you do that, this will have 304 days. The reason is because for closing purposes, we got to prorate the real estate. And this number is based on the real estate taxes. So let's see what the real estate taxes for last year is, because the title company would be focusing on that. 2855, 2014. Let's click on that. We have a total. It wasn't homestead, so that's good. That would be good for the new buyer. We can use that as a marketing piece. 3556.77. So as long as this property sold before December 31, next year the new buyers can file for homestead, which will exempt 50,000 here, and based on the millage rate, okay, of this, that will decrease. So if you take 50,000 and times it by 0.176479, that will decrease your end taxes. Okay, so when you put this number in, the real estate proration is that. That amount would be subtracted from your net proceeds. All right, assuming a hard money loan, annual 12%. I know for some people it's different, but for this purposes, I'm doing 12% annual interest. I'm assuming that if I, borrow it for 6 months, so I'm kind of doing a worst case, okay? So let's just say we do get the $315,000 sales price, and I borrowed. Now there's two ways to do this. You can separate the purchase price, which is $191,000, and then you have the rehab loan. But when I bought it, I also had closing costs rolled into the rehab loan. So to make life simple, I just know my total loan is 243,000. Okay, so this is assuming 6 months. We also have real estate prorations, also assuming a 3% commission. Okay, you could probably change that. If you want to change it to 2.75, you can. Okay. Seller closing costs. If someone can buy this home, usually they don't need seller closing cost assistance. So 0. All right. So all of these figures here are included. So that's what makes this number. And right now, the mortgage and the note is assuming 100% financing at $315,000. So therefore, when you look at this, it's assuming someone did not make a down payment. So for the mortgage and the note, right here, okay, it's assuming 100%. It's assuming no one's making a down payment. So that's why my numbers based on worst case scenario, if it works on a worst case, I will make $30,000 on this flip. If I don't get the 315, let's see what happens if on my worst case I sell it at 285,000. I only make $2,613. Okay, and that's also assuming, I purchased this property in July. So August, September, October, November, December, January. If this property doesn't sell until January of next year, I will have to pay $14,000 at the end of closing. Okay? And this also assumes, worst case, that if I use a third-party realtor, if I'm using a realtor and not myself, even though I am a realtor, I'm going to lose $7,837.50. Okay, so let's play devil's advocate. Bought it in July and we sell it in June, so that's 4 months. And seller realtor. I am my own realtor, so if I do represent myself, that's money that I keep. Okay, and then this is what leverage real estate would earn, but this is money I would earn as a realtor. But let's just say I don't charge myself realtor fees and I let leverage real estate keep it, then that's 15,000. But if for whatever reason, I decide, what, negotiations aren't going to in my favor, but I got the good idea of, the buyer pays closing costs, then in the contract I'll say, hey buyer, you pay for closing costs. They bargain me down to 285, but because I know my numbers already, I'll say you pay for closing costs, and because of that, that increases my bottom line. So you have to know your numbers, okay? But I think with how we rehab and everything, it's going to be 300,000. And so now, even if I paid closing costs, I'm at 29,000. But again, if the buyer pays for closing costs, that's 36. And if we do 50-50, that's 32,000. So, you know what? This is actually looking pretty good. This is looking pretty good. And if I do 315,000, I don't charge myself any interest. I don't give any seller closing costs. And if it does sell in 4 months, you know what? That's 43,000. We're at a 40K flip. Wow, that looks great, doesn't it? So this actually should be okay. So so yeah, there you go. But I always run things on a worst case. So 285. So if I don't charge myself and I do pay for closing costs, and that's another thing. If I market this right and I don't use a third-party realtor, if I represent myself and I'm a transactional broker or transactional agent, then I do not have to pay a buyer's realtor. If I don't have to, then even on the worst case, I save both on the seller's realtor and the buyer's realtor, 23,000. That's not bad. That's really good. So let's see what the number looks like at 315. I mean 300,000. 37,000. Okay, that's great. So anyway, this is a nice way to know your numbers in advance and kind of use this as a real good guide. All right, that's all.